Paranormal in Pennsylvania may discuss topics such as suicide, murder, and other potentially upsetting things. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome to Paranormal in Pennsylvania, where we discuss history and haunts. Today we will be discussing the Seven Gates of Hell, but we are joined by some very special guests and longtime friends of the podcast, Crypts and Corks.
Hi, y'all.
Hello, everyone.
We're back, Yes.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you both for joining us again.
Of course. Thank you for
Yes.
having us back. Most people, after they get one dose of us, tend to block us.
If you don't know already, my name's Paul, and that's DJ.
Yes.
And we are Crypts and Corks, the spookiest, booziest podcast on the internet, and also sometimes the gayest, but there's a lot of competition there.
Yeah, indeed, that could be a tough competition.
Right.
Going into this, here's a bit of the background for it. So this is a strange urban legend in York County in a township named Hellam Township, which is kind of perfect for this because, Seven Gates of Hell, Hellam Township.
Oh, okay.
However, the township's name is a corruption of the name Hallam
Okay.
from Hallam, England.
Oh, I was
United
going to
Kingdom.
say, it sounds like a very Victorian name, like lettuce or
Yeah, very proper.
Vespasia.
Yeah, just very interesting. So going into the kind of history and the background of further, the Seven Gates of Hell can be found in the woods. This is like a wooded area that's off of Trout Run Road.
Okay.
Perfect name.
Yeah.
When I expect and think of like a trail in the countryside, Trout Run Road.
Yes.
But it is currently private property.
Oh.
So kind of hard to go and visit, I assume, without talking to somebody. So the history starts with the claims that this was originally an insane asylum that used to be on the grounds. So allegedly, this insane asylum, or this asylum, I should say, caught fire, and at some point during the fire, all the inmates were allowed to get out of their cells.
Okay.
However, though, this is where the gates come in. The seven gates. Apparently, there were seven gates, and they were all locked. So
Awkward.
they couldn't escape, and all the people unfortunately perished in the fire.
So this place is overgrown now. It used to be a building, but now it's like a forest?
Right. So like this is the interesting, because this is only one version of the story. Another version of the story says that the seven gates belonged to a local doctor who erected a large gate at the entrance of his property, and apparently this was like a sort of like they claim it was a mad science experiment.
Okay,
And so,
interesting.
Like the rumors that the gates were there actually to keep things in and out.
Okay.
Some people think that something mysterious was hidden at the end of the road. Others speculate it was to keep the test subjects in because they didn't want them to get out. Yeah.
Okay, so they were doing like some weird like government experiments, or do you think it was like just some random dude in his basement?
Part of me kind of likes that, where it's like I like to think of it almost like a cult, like he's like doing some crazy things, experiments, mad scientist, Frankenstein, and erects these gates because his experiment, he's very bad with lab procedure, and so they keep getting out.
Right.
It's definitely a yes and situation.
Yeah, and so because like there's not a lot of like necessarily concrete of what this was, it's really interesting, but it opens a lot of speculation for these like urban legends of like, okay, so it's like a mad scientist. What kind was he? And you get to really run with that.
Okay. Love it.
Yeah, and I think the mad scientist thing is a lot more ghoulish because I just picture him like kidnapping people to use for his experiments, and I think that's a lot more scary than the inmates running free in the woods or whatever, which is another super common urban legend.
Right. And so, like I said, interesting, there is not any real historical documentation for either of these, but many have said that it was covered up.
Okay.
Right? Enter your conspiracy theory.
Comment down below.
Exactly. Basically, whatever you put more.
Love a Victorian conspiracy theory.
Right? And so when people visit, they often say that the ghosts or spirits there are of patients, either from the asylum or, the doctor that roam the area. And so some will say that they hide in the woods and then along the road. But apparently, and this is where it gets like a little interesting, it's like as you go through the gates and go deeper, the more and more activity you get. And so this is a particularly interesting thing. Some say that passing through the first gate only introduces you to the spirits who are trying to save you. And they're trying to actively push you out.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's a really fun paranormal twist. Because oftentimes, like hauntings and such, you walk in and the ghost or spirit is just interacting with you, messing with you, something, right?
Right.
Not very often do you read it's like trying to help you.
Right.
And so I thought that was really cool. But many report as well that the instant you go through the gates, your phone stops working.
Okay.
Oh, I don't mess with that. Okay, if my phone's not working, I'm not there. Trust and believe. Also, if there's not an Arby's there, I'm not there either. So if there's no cell phone signal or Arby's, I'm not there.
Really, for you, I thought it was going to be Taco Bell.
I do like Taco Bell, but also Arby's is another essential, or McChicken. Either one. We love fast food over at Crypts and Corks podcast.
I mean, I also love a Taco Bell moment.
Oh, it's so good for no reason. It's so awful that the worst food for you is... Sorry, the best food is the worst for you, is what I'm trying to say.
So what I'm hearing is the true haunting of the story is that there is no fast food on Trout Run Road.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Or
This is
cell phone service.
Yes, that is the true curse.
Right.
Assuming that there is even a curse. So walking deeper into the gates, people start reporting strange injuries. An example of this was a 4-inch cut along the calf, seemingly with no cause, which is interesting. But when I hear something like this or read, part of me immediately thinks, okay, so like you hit a bush, like with a particularly like sharp edge to one of the thorns or something that cut you, and that you didn't even notice it. It's like when you hear like somebody gets cut by a box cutter, by a razor blade, like sometimes they don't even know they're cut because it's so sharp.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Also, if it's on private land, I'm willing to bet that there is a sharp or barbed wire fence trying to keep them out.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a fence or anything, but yeah, that's a really good point of, you could have hurt yourself on the way in.
Yeah.
But people also report the feeling of terror, which this could be literally the woods itself. And also I always wonder about when you go into like a location that's reported to be haunted and you're like, oh, I feel terror. Well, is that because you knew it was a haunted location and this is your bias kind of coming through because you're aware? Or is it that you're actually feeling it?
Right.
So you guys have done, investigations. So what has your experience been with that?
My experience is that when you walk into a haunted location, the terror you feel at the prospect of being somewhere haunted can definitely affect what you're going to get. Every creak and bang or movement you hear, it's a demon. Not to be Lorraine Warren with it. Oh, honey. But if you just like sort of like calm down and like open yourself up, like whatever's here, like so be it, I'm just observing, and you take that fear down, you become much more rational. It's like, okay, something's creaking. Paul's in the other room and he's probably bouncing on one foot.
Yeah. It's very much the placebo effect, I feel like. If you think something spooky is going to happen, you have all this like pre-innate knowledge or predetermined knowledge or however you want to say that, knowledge of a location. You think something spooky is going to happen. You're going to expect something spooky to happen, and you might even attribute things that aren't paranormal necessarily to things that are paranormal, like DJ said, like the creek and everything. It's very much the placebo effect, and you have to very much take these things with a grain of salt when you're going to these haunted places and not let them shade your view, I want to say, or like shade.
And going back to the scratches and the wounds, you're in the woods. It's really easy for a stick to scratch you, for you to jump because you're already feeling fear because you're in haunted woods, and being like, there's nothing around to scratch me because you knocked the stick out of the way in your fear.
Right. I'm the purported, I should say, skeptic of our podcast. And it's mainly because I think that a lot of this can be explained. Like 98% can be explained by something very real and concrete. And then that 2% is the real, like, I have no answer for this. I can't explain this. A wound is always interesting. Not to say that it wasn't paranormal, but, or the feeling of terror.
Yeah.
It would just be really interesting to take somebody there who didn't know it was haunted, right? Like, everybody else is in the inn but them. And say, like, so how did you feel? And they're like, oh, that place, I don't know what it was. I was absolutely terrified the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But like, that's really, like, that's cool. Like, how'd that happen?
Or if there are instances of like pockets of fear. I don't know if you've ever encountered that, but where there are certain locations where people have reported like they're walking on the road and they're totally fine, and they get to a spot and they're paralyzed with fear for no reason. And when they finally pull themselves together and they walk 2 more steps, it's like, what was I panicked over? And then when they're walking back in the same exact spot, they experience it because it's just this pocket of something, whether it's ultrasound or energy or spirit.
Right. Like, just a pocket of, like, negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
The vibes were off, man.
Yeah.
They usually are.
The bad vibes pocket was found.
Oh no.
That's what I call my ex's bedroom. The bad vibes pocket.
Oh, jeez. But something else I could potentially explain or lead to feeling acts of terror is when you're ever in a spot that's quiet, that's or like unusually quiet. And so it's been largely reported that there's a large lack of animals here.
That is spooky.
Oh yeah.
So if you're in the forest and everything goes quiet, and I don't know if it's something instinctual with humans, because like other animals go quiet when they feel like a predator is nearby.
Right.
And so like if everything goes quiet, do we also then pick up on that cue of there's something wrong here? Like something's wrong. I might be in danger.
Right, because I guess if the other animals are staying away and it's quiet, like you'd probably want to stay away too. It might stem from that.
Right. It's not like just like, oh, there might be a hawk or something, but it's like everything goes dead quiet. You're like, there's something nearby that might be actually a serious threat to me as well.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so interesting. Like you hear that a lot with cryptids too, where like they say it goes quiet. Like when people talk about the Wendy boy, which we're not allowed to say its name or whatever, and like just different Appalachian cryptids, they say the forest goes quiet. So that's really interesting. I haven't really heard any ghost stories yet about like things going just quiet like that.
Yeah, we've done a couple places that are reported to be haunted areas in a wooded area that there's either like no vegetation growth really, or that there's just a lack of animals, insects, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you hear about that with Skinwalker Ranch, or the Devil's Stomping Grounds. I think that's in North Carolina.
I've never even heard of that one. That's crazy.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
We'll cover it.
Oh. You heard it here, folks.
Ooh, breaking.
Yeah. So that is basically the hauntings that we found about it. I really like this not in the sense that I think that this might be a very haunted area. I've not been, of course, and it's private property, so we make a point of not, violating somebody's private property. If we were given permission, I'd like to go see this for myself.
But also, what's a misdemeanor? Federal charges, whatever. Let's just go for it. Sam and Colby did it, so why not?
For legal reasons, that is a joke.
Is it?
For legal reasons, he is not associated with Crypts and Corks LLC.
So, with that in mind, though, would you both visit this place of paranormal phenomenon?
With permission, yes. Just to see what my own experience was. Because like you said, when researching paranormal, 98% of what you get can easily be explained away. It's that other 2% that you can't explain. Like, I'm really interested in, like, the scratch on the calf. Okay, who cares? But I would love to be like, okay, somebody gets 3 claw marks down their back, like, under their shirt, and nobody's behind them. That is something that I would like to see. Or the total silence. Or apparitions in the woods. Like,
yeah. Well, and the crazy thing with if there was a claw mark, the lack of animals being reported there, that would be immediately really creepy and freaky.
I would go visit this one because this one seems like a challenge because it feels like you have to make it past the first group of ghosts to get to the next ghost to get to the next one. Though you have to make it past the ghosts that are trying to keep you out.
Like initiation, a path of initiation, which is another form of urban legend within itself. You have to achieve something to reach the second gate.
Yeah, kind of like it's almost like a trial by fire,
Yeah.
although,
Yes.
what you're achieving or getting is like more paranormal activity and potentially like very negative interactions from what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Like, congratulations, you've won a prize. Enjoy it.
Did you watch Agatha All Along on Disney Plus?
I did not.
Okay. I was going to make a reference, but neither did Paul, so it's really going to fall on deaf ears here.
Well, I guess you could equate this to like climbing Mount Everest, where it gets harder and harder as you go on, and you kind of just do it just to say you did it, type of thing, just to say you made it through and survived.
Right.
Not me.
No
mean?
Everest for you.
I'm not going to climb Mount Everest.
No, I wouldn't climb Mount Everest either. I don't want to die. These
respect-
little lungs.
I respect the Yeti.
Yeah, right. I think the reason that this place has so much interest to me is kind of the vagueness of it. Early on we were like, oh, so what is the doctor doing? Like, what is an asylum? Like, why are there 7 gates? Why they do that? These are interesting things for me because it plays into kind of conspiracy theories that you can immediately generate.
Yeah. Not to be the buzzkill, but just knowing farmland, you would have lots of fences and gates. And it's probably just a road or trail that goes across multiple meadows that would be used for different things. That eventually got abandoned, and a bunch of high school kids in the 50s came up with, you know why there are 7 gates along this one stretch of road.
Sure. Though if it was like an insane asylum, why do you need 7 gates?
Mm-hmm. The mad scientist makes much more sense, especially emphasis on the mad scientist. It doesn't have to make sense because he's just as crazy as the supposed patients at the supposed insane asylum.
Right. Yeah, because for an asylum, I imagine it's not very logical to have 7 entrances and exits. You want those to be, or I guess like emergency exits and such, you could make an argument for, but ideally you want a very directed flow of traffic.
I mean, if we're going back to the Victorian era, and you mentioned before how the supposed inmates of the asylum were let out of their cells, but were first to burn because of the 7 gates, it's like, that is actually the most Victorian thing ever. Like, we need to treat them humanely and give them a chance. Let them out of the cells, but keep them locked in the building.
Yeah, that's dark. It's dark and twisted, especially if they were aware. Because unless it was like a mechanism failed that let them out, but if it's like somebody let them out, then knowing that they were not going to make it anyways.
It's very Victorian, and we need to give them a chance. Let them out of the cells, but keep them in the building.
Yeah, that's
just that callousness.
Yeah, subhuman.
Yeah, we can't just treat them like insects. We'll let them out of the cells. Give them a chance.
Yeah. Oh, that's really dark.
That is very dark.
But anyway, so before I read us out, though, I love the take, though. I love the dark take. But before I take us out, tell us about your podcast. Where can we find you? All the plugs.
We are the world's #1 twink-led paranormal investigative and research podcast. And you can quote me on that.
And that's about all you can quote on that.
We are also the spookiest, the booziest, and sometimes the gayest, but only when Helix Studios is not doing its own podcast. You can find us on most social media at Crypts and Corks Pod. Also, we do want to start doing listener stories, so if you have your own ghost stories that you would like to be read out on the internet, you can share them at Crypts, CRYPTS, and Corks, CORKS, at gmail.com.
And be sure to CC Paranormal in Pennsylvania on that email as well, so they get the cool stories as well.
Thanks,
share.
Yeah,
we
can
share. I'm willing to share.
Yes, we can share cool stories. Yes. Yeah. And be sure to check out our latest episode coming out. I'm not sure what date that would be. It's going to be next Sunday, November 20-something, whatever that Sunday is, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, because we have David on our podcast. We're doing the bro episode, which I guess this is kind of the bro episode of Paranormal in Pennsylvania, because it's just the bros. So if you want to see some more bro episodes and listen to us talk about haunted frat houses, go on over to Crypts and Corks and give us a listen.
I love how boldly you assumed this was coming out before our episode.
Hey, we gotta plug it either way. We can cut out the
Right.
dates if needed. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, follow us everywhere at Crypts and Corks. Find us on YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts.
All right. Well, thanks for giving us a listen, guys, and stay spooky, my friends.
Stay spooky. Bye.